In the galactic station orbiting the third moon of Thaler Prime, humans were still a novelty. Only a handful of us had been assigned here, diplomatic observers, tech specialists, and a few unlucky security staff like myself. My job mostly involved standing around looking official while trying not to get dismembered by species who saw Earthlings as soft, slow, or simply edible. But things changed the day Captain Viral was stationed at the outpost. She was a Zentari, a species known for being biologically engineered for war. 7 feet tall, metallic blue skin with an opalescent sheen, and piercing amber eyes that never seemed to blink. Her armor alone could punch through starship hulls. Zentari didn't do small talk. They didn't do emotions. And they definitely didn't do humans. We were briefed in advance, do not attempt to fraternize with the Zentari. They didn't say what would happen if we did, but the fact that the last guy who smiled at one was still in orbit, in chunks, was enough of a warning. So naturally, the first words I ever said to her were, "You look kinda cute today." I hadn't meant to say it. I was tired. My translator chip lagged for a second, and instead of, "Your armor is sharp," which is what I was going for, it spat out that cursed word. Cute. There was silence in the command deck. Total. Crushing. Silence. Even the filtration fans seemed to pause in horror. Captain Viral stopped mid-step. Her head tilted slowly in my direction like a predator deciding whether to pounce or just vaporize. I braced myself. I was going to die. Not in a glorious battle, not defending Earth, but because I had accidentally flirted with a Zentari war captain. But then, she turned red. Not just red, bright red. It started at her cheekbones, if that's what you could call them, and spread across her entire face like molten plasma. Her glowing eyes widened a fraction, and her body tensed as if she'd been hit with a plasma shock. The deck remained deathly quiet. Then she stormed out. I thought I was done. Demoted. Jettisoned. Or worse. But instead of punishment, something weirder happened. She started showing up near me. A lot. In the mess hall, instead of sitting with her own kind, Zentari rarely even ate in public, she sat 2 tables away from me. In the training yard, she suddenly decided to start practicing hand-to-hand techniques within full view of my patrol route. And one time, she dropped her ceremonial plasma blade right in front of me, then stood silently until I picked it up and handed it back. Her fingers brushed mine. I didn't think Zentari had nerves in their fingers, but she jolted like she'd been zapped, snatched the blade back, and vanished. It was confusing. It was terrifying. But it got even stranger. One night, as I was finishing my rounds, I found a small cube in my quarters. Zentari message cubes were sacred. They only ever sent them in times of ritual or warfare. My name was etched on it in glowing script. I opened it. A hologram flickered to life. Viral stood in full ceremonial armor, holding her plasma blade across her chest. "Human," she said, her voice more rigid than usual. "I have consulted the ritual codes. Your compliment, though reckless, has been deemed acceptable. I have initiated Phase 1 of courtship protocols." I blinked. Courtship. It turned out, calling a Zentari cute was the highest form of affection in their ancient battle dialect. No one had ever dared say it to a high-ranking female in centuries. To Viral, I'd basically proposed a romantic duel for her heart. I didn't know whether to laugh or run. But running wasn't an option. That night, she requested a private meeting. I assumed it would be to end the whole thing and save face. But when I arrived, she was standing beneath the glowing branches of the ship's arboretum, completely out of armor, wearing what I could only guess was traditional Zentari ceremonial garb, half robe, half armor plating, glowing patterns running across it. "You called me cute," she said, her tone serious, like she was preparing for war. "I require confirmation." "Did you mean it?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah. I guess I did." Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment I thought she'd vaporize me. But then, she smiled. Or at least, her equivalent of a smile. Centauri don't use their mouths to smile, but their eyes glow differently. Hers glowed softly, warmly. Then it is done, she said, placing her hand on my chest. Phase 2 shall begin. What's Phase 2? Combat bonding ritual. I panicked. Combat? She laughed, a low, melodic sound that made the leaves on the arboretum trees tremble. Sparring, human. Ritual combat. To see if you're worthy. I didn't think I was. But I showed up the next day, and we fought. Not to hurt each other, but to test limits, to share strength. It was the most intense, and oddly intimate, experience of my life. Weeks passed. The crew started whispering. The others kept their distance. And yet, Viral remained close. Not possessive, not aggressive, just present. Always nearby, always watching. And sometimes, when no one was looking, she'd let her fingers linger a second longer when passing me a report. Or tilt her head ever so slightly in what I later learned was the Centauri gesture for affection. We never made anything official, not in the human way. But on her world, I was already something like a consort. Or maybe a battlemate. I'm still not sure. But I do know one thing. In a galaxy where humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, and irrelevant, I became the most talked about man in 3-star systems. Not because of my strength. Not because of valor. But because I called an alien warrior cute, and lived to see her blush. And somehow, that changed everything.